Right now, 3 people are dead in New Lisbon. How neighbors are reacting as police search for a person of interest. And 2024 was a big year for Wisconsin politics. The bills that lawmakers say will have a positive impact for the state's residents. Plus, celebrating the new year, how Wisconsin businesses are closing out 2024 in style. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Let's get a look at your first one forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze.
Yeah, it is a quiet night out here as we begin to wrap up the 2024 year and get ready to ring in 2025. Had a little bit of snow earlier today. Let's take a look at some of those totals across southern Wisconsin. A lot of that stayed south of the Dells, as we were expecting. Kind of those light blues indicating probably closer to the inch. This is just an estimation of snow that fell over the last 24 hours. And you can see that once you got south of Lodi, that's where we had at least a little bit of accumulation, but with temperatures above freezing throughout the day, not to mention our ground temperatures above freezing because of our last few warm days. A lot of that melted. We're going to be right around 27, 26 degrees as clocks strike midnight, ringing in 2025. Mostly cloudy conditions, maybe a few flurries here and there, breezy as well, but accumulating snow wrapped up well earlier into the day on Tuesday. There is a look at your forecast for tonight. We're going to be in those 20s underneath mostly cloudy conditions, so a little bit warmer than average for this time of year, but we are set to cool on down and possibly stay cooler than normal for maybe the first week or two of January. We're going to talk about that, as well as a few maybe snow chances there over the next 7 to 10 days in the full forecast.
All right, Blaze, we'll see you then. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us for the final newscast of 2024. We start with news out of northern Wisconsin as 1 adult and 2 minors are dead in New Lisbon, with authorities still searching for a person of interest. Christina Johnson and other neighbors say at first they didn't think much of the police presence on West Bridge Street, but when they learned the presence was because 3 people in the home were dead, they were terrified. The suspect, 47-year-old Virgil Thu, he was last seen wearing a dark coat, blue jeans, and a hat. Police are calling him armed and dangerous.
So I was just standing out here watching, and I had gotten a message from my girlfriend saying, hey, there had been a murder in New Lisbon. Lock your doors. They haven't caught the suspect yet. That's extremely unnerving. When I found out that there was a murder and that he was on the loose, I was, totally terrified.
Police are reminding people that if they see Thu, do not approach and to instead call 911 immediately. Authorities could not tell us when new information would be released, but they say the latest updates will be posted on the New Lisbon PD Facebook page. 1 teen is dead and another is in custody after a crash in Waukesha. Monday morning, Waukesha police were called to the intersection of East Sunset Drive and Guthrie Road for a crash. Flight for Life was called to the scene and a 17-year-old was taken to a hospital where they later died. An investigation found that a 19-year-old driver ran a stop sign and hit 2 other vehicles. The 19-year-old is being charged with operating while intoxicated and homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle. And the Wisconsin Department of Justice is investigating after man is found unresponsive in Madison police custody. The DOJ says officers responded to a report of theft Monday night at the Best Western Hotel in Anamark Drive. After chasing a suspect on foot, police took him into custody. When he arrived to the Dane County Jail, he was found unresponsive and taken to a hospital for treatment. The involved officers have been placed on administrative leave as the DOJ investigates. It's been quite the year, especially in Wisconsin, in politics. We saw the road to the White House run through the Badger State, including the state hosting the Republican National Convention. But that election had big impacts here in Wisconsin, especially down ballot races. That combined with a busy legislative session.
Biggest headline from 2024, Senate Democrats flip 4 seats.
We had a good last session, a lot to be proud of. Shared revenue deal, an alcohol bill, save the brewers. We were able to fund literacy in schools, a lot of positive things. So I think I'm optimistic. It's the time of the year where we look ahead and say what else can happen. I know we're going to have a good session, and I'm excited to get it started.
Now, that next session could look a little different as Democrats have gained more seats after this November's election. Lawmakers return to the state capitol to get sworn in next week. A Pentagon appeals court upheld plea deals in cases of accused September 11th defendants. The plea deals are the initial step in a months-long process that could last through 2025. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin rescinded the deals in August, but the judge in the case ruled Austin acted too late and overstepped his authority. The case has been stalled in pretrial proceedings since 2012. The U.S. Treasury Department has notified lawmakers a China state-sponsored actor infiltrated Treasury workstations. In a letter, a Treasury official said it was informed by a third-party software service provider earlier this month. A threat actor used the stolen key to remotely access certain Treasury workstations and unclassified documents. A spokesperson for China's foreign ministry denied the accusation, saying China has always opposed all forms of cyber attacks. Former President Jimmy Carter is being remembered as a citizen of the world and a humble hometown guy. Those who knew Jimmy Carter in his tiny hometown of Plains, Georgia, considered him a friend. For nearly half his life, Carter was followed everywhere by a group of Secret Service agents at home and abroad.
You had kids in Africa that lived in villages, and they were probably 6 and 7 or 8 year old, and they would be hollering, "Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Carter, Jimmy."
He never disappointed me. I mean, all through the years, through his presidency and post-presidency.
The former president will lie in repose here at the Carter Center beginning Saturday for mourners to come pay their respects. U.S. markets will be closed on January 9th as Wall Street keeps the tradition of the mourning of the nation's leaders. Madison businesses sure know how to ring in the new year with a variety of different types of parties, activities, and more. All at the Settle Down Tavern in Pinckney Street, bartenders and servers are prepping for another full bar with standing room. But if you're looking for a less chill, more daylight, Madison's Children's Museum threw an outdoor dance party at the Human Ball Drop several times during the day, and more families have been attending over the past 4 years.
We find parents are looking for something to do that's festive with their kids, but that doesn't involve keeping their kids awake until midnight or even, 9 p.m.
For a full list of activities to do on Madison's New Year's Eve, you can go to our website right now at channel3000.com. The city of Monroe welcomes in the new year in a classic Wisconsin fashion. Today, Main Street Monroe hosted a cheese drop in the city's downtown square. Organizers dropped a replica block of Limburger cheese at 5 in the afternoon or midnight in Switzerland. This year's event expanded into south and the east sides of the city square. Last year, nearly 50 pounds of cheese samples were handed out by the Alpendale Cheese Store. Organizers hope to double that amount of samples handed out this year. And when we return, Blaze tells us about the low temps as we end out the work week. Plus, encouraging people to give blood, why there is such a dire need for donations around the holidays.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Thank you for staying with us. Emergency rooms are busy places over the holidays, and one thing goes is that they need blood the most. Katrina Kaufman spoke to one Red Cross employee who was encouraging others to donate blood.
1 unit of blood can change a person's life. Tracy Fox learned this last Christmas.
I always say
Fox, who works for the American Red Cross, was hit by a bus crossing the street. Her foot needed to be amputated, but before surgery, she required a blood transfusion to counter an infection.
So I had that blood to transfuse when I needed and saved my life. And so, you know, at the end of the day, I lost my foot, but I still have my life. I'm here.
Emily Coberly, a chief medical officer at the Red Cross, says blood donations are especially needed around the holidays when emergency rooms often see more trauma patients.
And when that coincides with the time of year where it's difficult to collect blood, it can make it really challenging to meet the needs of all the patients who need transfusions.
Coberly says the faster a patient can receive a transfusion, the higher their odds of survival.
Around the holidays is so important because accidents don't stop. Cancer doesn't stop. Other types of treatments, sickle cell, other diseases that need blood transfusions, none of those take a break during the holidays.
On the anniversary of her surgery, Fox organized this blood drive in Washington, D.C. Pastor Grace Woodward is here to donate what's called Power Red, a concentrated dose of red blood cells.
The packed red blood cells are used for emergencies in the NICU, in the emergency room, for really critical traumas, basically. This is so sentimental, but it makes me feel really connected to people that I'll never know.
In the years since her accident, Fox has been outfitted with a prosthetic. She learned to walk again and completed a 5K this Thanksgiving. And she's back at work for the Red Cross.
I got hit by a 50,000-pound bus, and I'm still here. So that means I have more to do.
She hopes her story will inspire others to donate blood during this critical time of year. Katrina Kaufman, CBS News, Washington.
The Red Cross says there is currently a low supply of blood type O, which can not only save the lives of people with all blood types, but also improves the patient's odds of survival. Many people may be vowing to do something different in the new year, but staying motivated to achieve those goals can be pretty hard. Psychologists with Cleveland Clinic say there are simple ways to set yourself up for success in 2025. When setting resolutions, be specific and realistic, and set a goal of working out a certain number of days a week for a specific amount of time. Psychologists say to also try habit stacking, pairing 2 habits together, and that can help keeping those behaviors going.
So, for example, if you drink your cup of coffee every morning routinely, and you want to start getting moving and exercising, that very next behavior after you have your cup of coffee, maybe go for a walk, do some stretches, do some yoga.
Psychologists say to also focus on process goals, not outcome goals. Practice self-compassion and get support. And as we count down to the new year, millions of Americans are likely making plans to hit the gym in the next month or so. Data shows about 12% of new gym memberships begin in January, but 50% of new members quit within the first 6 months. But there are some simple weight workouts we can do at home. Personal trainers say it's best to keep it simple and to stick with it.
How can they stay consistent with these ideas?
Right. It feels like there's a lot of pressure this time of year. So we like to remind people to start exactly where you are. It's not about finding the perfect time or the perfect opportunity. It's about embracing and honoring exactly where you are just to get started.
For anyone looking for more information about home workouts, Lucia's company, Well and Good, is starting a 4-day-week winter workout challenge next month. Let's get a look at your first one forecast. Blaze joins us now.
And we are taking a look at what we can expect here. A few flurries tonight, and then as we go into the new year, we're looking at some slow clearing of that cloud cover because we're starting to see the change in our jet stream. We're going to watch as a series of high pressure systems come out of Canada and the Arctic, and they're going to reinforce this prolonged cold. And with these high pressure systems, they not only clear up the skies, but they also keep a lot of systems, weaker weather systems, kind of around their edges. And that comes comes into play as we go into this weekend. But as we look to your Wednesday, again, slow clearing of the cloud cover. We're going to watch as a little bit of energy moves through parts of the Midwest as we go into your Thursday. Like today, maybe during the morning through the early afternoon hours, especially further south, we see that chance for snow. We're looking at minor accumulations at best with that. And then again, the high pressure system, the next one comes in out of Canada, clears up the skies as we go into the start of your weekend. We're looking at about 4:30 in the afternoon on Future Track there on Friday. And we're going to continue to see more sunshine over the next few days, or at least a chance for it, because as we go into the winter months, these high pressure systems, they get stronger. So when we have those really sunny days in the heart of winter, we're most likely underneath a high pressure system and probably underneath some cold air. As I mentioned, minimal snow chances there Thursday into Friday. And then as those high pressure systems kind of set up in this area, right along their edge is where we're going to watch this system Sunday into Monday move across. Right now, the real accumulating significant snow looks to stay even south of Springfield there. If this were to change, we'll of course let you know. There is still time between now and Sunday that we may see kind of a big shift in that path. But right now it continues to trend further to the south. And as I mentioned, we look at trends. We don't like to kind of pick and choose, cherry pick which model run we like. We like to see if the same thing is being consistently shown, which is what happened here before we started this prolonged cool down. Is we were seeing the cooler temperatures move on in and stick around. So we got about a medium risk of sitting underneath kind of these extreme cold temperatures, especially further to the south where we find that dark blue, which is that high risk. And that high confidence level to me says that these cooler than normal temperatures are probably going to stick with us through at least the middle of January. The reason, this big ridge off to our north and west, moving warmer air into Alaska, into northwestern parts of Canada, and that's going to cause the cooler air that's there now to move here across parts of the Midwest, the East Coast, the plains, because we have to make room for the warmer air. So we have to take that cold air and essentially put it somewhere else. We just got the short end of that stick, which is the cooler temperatures, depending on who you ask. Some people may like the cold, and if you do, then we are in for a fairly cold couple of days, to say the least. And again, we are looking at a quiet time for when we are ringing in the new year. We're looking at the mid-20s, mid to upper 20s underneath mostly cloudy conditions. There's a look at your 7 and 10 day forecast. We're pretty much hanging out in the teens and 20s over the next 7 to 10 days, with a few flurry chances there starting this weekend through the middle of next week.
And coming up in sports, it's a crazy week for the Wisconsin men's hockey team. While the Badgers say they're okay with not a lot of practice time. That's next on News 3 Now. After almost a month off, the Badger women's hockey team is back on the ice for a huge series to open up the second half of their season. Their opponent, none other than Ohio State. Yes, that Buckeye team who handed the Badgers their lone loss of the year. Like the first meeting, it's a top two showdown between the last two national champs, and Mark Johnson's squad wouldn't want it any other way.
They always are one of the toughest teams to play against, so it'd be a good test to see how we can handle playing against such a good team coming off a break.
Every time we play them, it's the toughest game, and so we're excited for that. And those are the games that you have circled on your calendar. Those are the ones that are most fun to play. So we're excited for that, but I think it is such a great opponent to play, and there's a lot of rivalry there.
Well, speaking of the women's hockey team, Layla Edwards will be our guest for next week's Wisconsin Huddle. And you can come out to the live taping of the show on Monday, January 6th at our new home, Pooley's Sports Bar in Madison. Taping starts at 7. We hope to see you there. Mike Hastings is in the middle of a crazy 8-day stretch. Over the weekend, Wisconsin got 2 wins in Milwaukee and returned to Madison with a holiday face-off championship. But they're not home long. Thursday, they're playing in East Lansing, and then they'll head to Chicago to wrap up their series with Michigan State. It's a lot of travel, but that means not a lot of practices, something the guys enjoy, along with no school right now.
I do think they like the old days of playing junior hockey where they were able to go to the rink, practice, prepare, maybe get a workout in, leave the rink, and not go to physics class. And so school's on break. I think they're enjoying that. I'm seeing a lot of energy when the guys are walking in.
Final game of 2024 for the Badger women, Wisconsin hosting Minnesota. Badgers started in a big hole, down 23-4 early, but battled back. Ronnie Porter stops and pops with 2 of her 13 points to cut into that lead. And then it was Sarah Williams' turn. She spins and wins for 2 of her game-high 16. Wasn't enough, though. Badgers fall 59-50. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
As we bid farewell to 2024, we want to thank you and the staff here at News 3 for bringing us and you guys tuning in for our news coverage throughout the year. Now, here are the faces from News 3 Now, wishing you a Happy New Year. One of the things that I really do appreciate that is it shows just how many people it takes to put on this every single day. And I'm happy I'm closing up my new year with two of my closest friends here at News 3.
Oh, stop it.
Hey. Don't blush.
Sorry, I can't. When Jalen throws you a compliment, you have to blush. We got 20s out there tomorrow with slowly clearing skies. There's a look at your 10-day forecast. The cool down moves in tomorrow and doesn't go away for at least the next 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you, Blaze, and thank you, Zach. And thank you all for joining us for